Last year we brought you the sad story about a park in Stanmore where dogs were being baited with poisoned meat. Well, yesterday we told you about what's happening in Breakfast Point in the inner west, in the Concord region, where it's happening again. So, different part of Sydney. But we heard about an elderly neighbour of one of our listeners whose dog was baited. Little foxy dog. And by the time she realised, the dog started convulsing, became terribly sick, and died in the lady's arms before she could even take the puppy to a vet. So this is happening in Sydney, and it's happening in multiple locations. Goodness knows what would motivate anybody to do this. It's beyond alarming that somebody would do this. Now, we know that dogs cause issues in neighbourhoods. They are often dogs barking at the centre of neighbourhood disputes. But this is occurring in dedicated dog parks. They're parks that are set up to allow dogs to roam free and bark. That's what they're there for. And to think somebody could be baiting them with poisoned meat, it is just horrible. Well, what can you do if you take your dog to a park, whether it's a dedicated dog park or another location, and you fear your dog might have eaten something? What are the signs that your dog could be sick? Dr. Syafiqah is from our good friends at Southern Cross Vet Clinic and joins us on the line because she has some experience with this. Thank you for coming to the program, Doctor.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me on this segment. This is obviously a very important issue for the community, and I'm glad to be here to be talking about it.
Yeah, it is, because it's something that's very difficult to prevent. Now, the authorities might be able to take action, but we don't know who's responsible for this, and it's continuing. I needed some advice from you today for our listeners. Can you explain to us what warning signs there'd be for a dog that may have eaten contaminated meat, for instance?
Of course. These baits, you don't know what they contain. It could be something physical, it could be something sharp, it could be very harmful immediately to the dog, or it could be a poison that may show its signs only 1 to 2 days after the ingestion. Your case of your listener there was very tragic, that the effect only occurred immediately after, which is to me quite tragic in itself. I would advise listeners with concerns if your pet has eaten something that they shouldn't have. It is important to move with urgency, as we would in that situation anyway. If there's any remnants of the material in the area, grab whatever you can, put it into a doggy bag, and rush straight into the vet clinic. And this is one of those things where moving with urgency is important, because then we can try to get the dog to vomit it all back up again as well.
So time is critical, but you just mentioned 1 to 2 days. How quickly would a dog show symptoms that they've been poisoned?
Of course. It depends on the type of poison that was ingested. So if slug baits are quite poisonous and quite toxic in themselves, rat baits can show up to 1 to 2 days. And this could be baits that have been put out by your neighbor because they were maybe trying to get the rats themselves. They have no intention of poisoning your dog with it. But, dogs are very curious creatures, and they may just ingest what they find on the ground. I have many clients coming in with dogs that they know are prominent scavengers. They have such strong noses that they're able to sniff all these things out. There's not lots you can do to prevent it, but you can guard yourself against the action of others by moving with urgency to the vet clinic.
What signs are there that a dog may have been poisoned?
So the signs that can be occurring immediately is just general unwellness. If you're not sure why your dog is behaving differently than normal, keep an extra eye on them, keep a close eye on them for a few hours. If they have pale gums, by pale gums I mean if you lift up their top lip and you see that their gums are not as pink as they usually are, and this is where it's important to keep up with the health of your pet to figure out what is normal for them and what is abnormal. Absolutely. And sometimes it depends on what the poison that was ingested was. If rat poisons are anticoagulants, so what that means is sometimes it can cause bruising, sudden bruising in your dog. You will notice maybe sudden bleeding from the nose or in their toileting. And if you see any of these signs, it's important that you go to the vet immediately or give them a call.
So changes in behaviour, watching your dog closely is important, and looking if there's any bleeding in the faeces.
Yes.
Thank you for your time today, Doctor.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much for having me on.
Dr. Syafiqah, who is a vet with Southern Cross Vet Clinic in Sydney. So the key here is looking at dog closely, looking at the way they're behaving, looking how they're eating. If they're not eating much, that might be a sign that you should be taking your dog to a vet.